Packed the arena night. It was senior night. I missed it all. Brian State, joined by Pioneer coach Devan Carters. The Pioneers go 2-0 this past week. A Pioneer team that entered the week number 7 in the regional rankings, hoping to improve on that based on the fact that they have also improved their record. Coach, in general, overall, for your team going into your final home regular season week, you've got Carson Newman, you've got Coker, you've got things you've got to take care of. Your team really took it, I guess, upon themselves to take care of business themselves. Could have been bleak Wednesday, wasn't. And against Coker, a team that I think just matches up well with us, yes. Obviously. Your team still found the mettle to win the basketball games this past week.
Yeah, I really think that the kids, they were just dialed in all week. I mean, they were really dialed in to, the scout. I'll be honest, going against Carson Newman and going against Coker, the kids gave us the scout all week. Obviously we gave them the information, but it's almost like they were studying for an exam. So we got to walk through and defending the other team and their tendencies, and our kids were able to just spit it back at us, and they were 100% spot on. Kids like Jasmine Williams being able to go through and give you a scout, let you know how focused they were. A huge week. You got to finish strong. The regional rankings, came out earlier that day, and at the end of the day, you got to take care of business. And I felt like our kids never really wavered, and they showed a level of toughness that's required to be a good basketball club. And so you look at the Carson Newman game, you look at the matchup with Coker, who I think is extremely talented, and to be able to take care of both of those games on our home court was huge.
Let's take a look at it. Pack the arena night in front of an extremely enthusiastic crowd. Pioneers rally from behind. Again, it was late second, fourth quarter heroics that kind of propelled the Pioneers in this one. Carson Newman is a great shooting basketball team, and they got off to a very good start.
They did. I think that first half, the game was just ugly, and the game was sloppy, and the game was just nip and tuck. And then all of a sudden you get in the second half, and Carson Newman shows why they're so good and why they're one of the elite offenses in the country. They come out and they hit us with a haymaker. And then, that toughness, that I spoke of earlier had to kick in. I mean, we were able to get stops down the stretch and guard at an extremely high rate. And we were able to come through in the end.
All right, so it is a Carson Newman team, obviously, that they put up a lot of points. And defensively, you are not allowing very many points in this contest. I don't think you got the transition offense based on what I watched.
Yeah.
And I watched some of it. Of course, I was in and out of consciousness through much of it. But for the most part, just watching it, you weren't able to really get in that transition. I think they did a good job taking that away from you.
Yeah, they did. They sprinting a lot of people back to kind of stop our transition offense. And, I think early on especially, the game was more so a half-court contest. I think in the second half, we were able to get running and getting up and down the floor a little bit. And we were able to get a lot of, stops that we were able to turn into transition offense. So, you look at some of the plays in the second half, we were also able to share the ball once we got in transition and get some threes in transition, which, anytime you can outshoot Carson Newman from the three-point line, I think is really big. So we were able to do those things, and, it definitely helped us in that second half when we had to come back.
13-point deficit you rallied from, and without Sydney Wilson. You did that at Carson Newman.
Yeah.
But you're at home without her. Mia Long getting to the rim, Casey Johnson hitting some big threes, saw Kirsten Click hit a big three. I mean, you got Maya Belton that hit a three in the first half. You're getting performances from everybody in the contest.
Yeah, and that's that's what we have to do to do what we need, to really make this thing work for us. Down the stretch, we need everybody to step up. And so, you look at that game, and I think we played 11 people in the ball game. You see Aaliyah Miller hitting a three right there. The fact that we got such great contribution from our bench was big for us. There's the old adage that freshmen get you beat, and then you see our freshmen stepping up and knocking down 2 bombs. You really hope going into a game that you have everybody locked in and dialed in and that can step in and contribute for you. And we had that. And it was big for us because you're playing an elite offense. Getting stops is going to be tough. But at the same time, you're going to have to score the ball at a high rate to compete with them.
And then Jayla Arnwine hits that three right there, pretty much the go-ahead, and that was pretty much the dagger. Leah Miller scored, 8 straight, I believe it was, right there at one point, showing her athleticism, finishing at the rim as well. Everybody had to contribute. They did for a team that now sweeps Carson Newman, and, these are things we don't necessarily always talk about. You shut down Mariside's probably one of the most dangerous players in our league. She's the reigning conference player of the week as she comes in. She's a walking double-double. You've done a great job against Mullenhour and Mariside's and limited them. Braylon got hers, and the crowd obviously was extremely enthusiastic. I could hear Cody talking, barely. So I likened it to tournament atmosphere, and I think that's exactly what you were hoping to get out of that, and that's what you got out of it.
It was extremely loud, and it was definitely, I think, an advantage for us. I mean, the crowd was phenomenal. The atmosphere was electric. I think that, our kids really rallied around that. I think it really, really helped them. And so you going down, and I forget what the spurt was, but we held Carson Newman scoreless for a long time. And, you hear the bench talking about we got to get one more stop and everything else. And you hear the crowd clapping and cheering you on. And it was definitely a motivating factor for our kids. The week was big also for us, just from the mere fact of I had somebody tell me that, you hear the name Carson Newman and you think fear. And I don't know where that came from, but I think that our kids understood that, we can compete with anybody. And when you lock in the detail and you compete, we have a chance to beat anybody. And so for us to go and get that sweep, I think for the first time in a long time, I think it was important for our program. I think it was important for people around here in our community. I think it was important for our players to see is that the standard is to go out and win every one you can. And when you compete and play hard, you do those things.
Maybe not the last time we see him, to be honest with you.
Exactly right.
Basically, I think that's a lot more what this team is hoping for down the stretch as well. Pioneers win at 79-74. Then Saturday, they entertained Coker. A very entertaining game when we went to Hartsville the very first time. An extremely athletic team. Just before the warm-ups, they lost Hope Richardson. I think she turned an ankle just kind of going up for a layup. It just before the team. So that was a big miss for them at the very beginning, and this time it was your turn to kind of lose that big lead. You led by 13 early in the contest, and then Coker was able to just kind of chip away. Your offense kind of went away from you, but it was senior day, and I think your seniors propelled. Let's take a look at the highlights, Tusculum and Coker this past Saturday. Your seniors were able to kind of pull you through some of the down times there, especially in that second half.
Yeah, I think that, obviously we got off to a great start, and then, defensively, I think we just, our attention to detail was not there. I think that when you look at a team like Coker, who has, great size, great athleticism, they're a really big basketball club. You look at their guards, all of them are the size of our post players. You look at their post players, and Hauser, who I think is probably pound for pound one of the most talented post players in our league. And then you look at Shaquita Joyner, who's a walking double-double. She's a bucket. You look at their team and you're like, wow. They wow you a little bit. And so we knew that, obviously it's a tough matchup for us because their size and athleticism. We knew it was going to be a dogfight, but I think that, once we settled in that second half, we were able to get stops. And I think we held them scoreless for about 8 minutes in the fourth quarter. Sometimes it's not about how you start, although we started it well, but it's how you finish. And I was really impressed with our ability to go and get stops in that fourth quarter to kind of rally us to that win.
It's been a great week for Aaliyah Miller. Of course, she had 11 versus Carson Newman, 9 of that in that second half. Jayla Arnwine, it's been a great week for her. She had 3 threes in that first half, and I would hear that every time. It seemed like Justin would say Arnwine in the corner for 3, it was going in. She was in that kind of a rhythm, obviously, in that first half. And after a mid-season swoon for her, she has really found the outside range. Her, Bree Dixon can hit outside, and Aaliyah Miller. You're very dangerous with a bevy of people that you can bring in.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that really, really, has helped us, after we lost Sid, is that, we have some kids that can step in and make shots. Somebody asked me, why do you shoot so many threes? And number one, I believe the three-point line is a great equalizer. And then number two, we have kids that can make shots. I saw a stat yesterday. My assistant brought it to me that, Jayla Arwan was shooting 16% from the three-point line at one time, and now she's shooting 36%. And to raise your average that much, to step in and knock down, game-winning three-pointers. You look at even the game at Catawba, you're one stop away from winning that ball game. She made the three to put us up 2 with a few seconds to go. So, to have the confidence to take those shots and to continue taking those shots when you're struggling has everything to do with her ability to get in the gym and get up shots. She works her butt off, and that's why she was able to raise her three-point percentage that much. Aaliyah Miller, quite honestly, is our best scorer. She's our best scorer on our team. She gets days in practice where she's unguardable. Obviously the defensive end is what we're trying to figure out. But, she can score the ball. Brianna Dixon is very versatile. She's actually a point guard. And we got her playing the 1 through the 5, basically. She can step in and knock shots. Elle Hutchinson can step in and knock shots. She was a little under the weather. That's why she didn't play Saturday. But, we've got some kids that can shoot the ball. And for us right now, we've got to have that versatility in our scoring package because some nights, your mid-range or the other team's post player may be bigger, and you may have to take a couple of those outside shots, but we can make them.
A Pioneer team that does get the victory against Coker, ending the game on a 12-0 spurt. We saw Mia Long there. She had a game-high 20. She goes to 1,000 points in 3 years at Tusculum. Was it somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,500 points for her 4-year career at an NAI school, and now here at Tusculum. And it's unfair, I think, for some of us to sit here and compare her with Jasmine Gunn, the great point guard here at Tusculum, but then in fairness as well, they're one and the same. They are the exact same player. They are penetrators. They are finishers. Jasmine might just have had just a slight edge in finishing and shooting and making free throws and percentages, but they almost had the same amount of points in a 3-year span, which is quite remarkable. What Mia has meant to this program, the same with Casey Johnson and Sydney Wilson, don't get me wrong, but that's somebody that you're going to have a really hard time replacing her.
Yeah, it keeps me up at night because, you graduate almost 4,000 points, and I got a text from a coach in the league, and they said, wow, like you're graduating everybody, like rebuilding year. And don't believe in rebuilding years. I think that we're going to be just fine. But, you look at, and I told them this after senior night, you look at our program and where it was. I mean, when we took over the program, our program was consistently winning at that time like 6 to 8 games a year. We were kind of the doormat of the league, and then all of a sudden, we have our own 6-win season. We had 20-some losses, and but then you look at kind of the turnaround. The turnaround happened when we were able to get Mia Long and Yulise McCupidon and Kendria Duke and those girls. And so, Casey and Sid stayed. They had the opportunity to go, other places, but they stayed. They stayed with us and stayed the course with us. And, now you look at our program and it's come a long way. But through this time, as a coach, I hadn't scored any points, hadn't made any free throws, no layups, no threes. Those kids have been the reason why we've been able to grow our program. And so, now it just helps in everything that we do. It helps in our recruiting. Every recruit that I've talked to, they watch our bench and they watch the enthusiasm that we play with and our pace, and they want to be a part of it. And so, some players sometimes have that, D1 or bust mentality, and all those kids are reaching out to us this past week and last week because reality starts to set in. So, those kids have been great for us. They've been the reason why we've been able to grow the program. I'm totally, indebted to them because they've taken some of my crazy antics in coaching and they've continued to work and get better. And you're looking at 3 kids that are probably going to graduate here as 3 of the best players ever play here.
Thank you, seniors.
Yeah.
Tusculum goes 2-0 during the week to wrap up their home schedule, but there's still 2 games in the regular season left. We'll talk about that when we return with more. This is Pioneer Basketball with Pioneer coach Devan Carter.
Family.
Food's here!
What's it mean to you?
We got lunch.
To us, it means the people you care about, look out for, and love. Even if you'd never let them hear you say it.
Hey, you're eating hummus?
What's wrong with hummus?
Here at Ingalls, we have everything you need to gather around the table and give each other a hard time. Because that's what families do. Ingalls. All the ingredients for family.
Into Pioneer basketball with Coach Devan Carter. The Pioneers close out at Lincoln Memorial in Harrogate, and then the always tough Cuddy Arena at Wingate University. Bryan Staten, joined by Pioneer Coach Devan Carter. I think I'll be in full throw, at least maybe three-quarter throw tomorrow. Be there at LMU. I love the place that Tech's built to go there, but it is a huge, open, cavernous place. We've done one of these things already this year at UVA-Wise, and it was a tightly competitive game, and LMU will be very similar to the way they were when they were here. We'll get the kitchen sink thrown at us defensively, and it'll be a game that you're going to have to go in and make shots.
Going to have to make shots. They're going to run a bunch of different zones on us, and you know, you're going to see a bunch of different looks, and you're going to have to knock down shots, as you said, from the outside. You know, every past 2 years, I think we've gone down and lost by 1 point each time, and you know, both have been calls with under 5 seconds to go.
Yeah.
So hopefully it doesn't boil down to that this year. But, you know, a team that's very scrappy. They play hard. You know, like I said, they've got Sydney Newsom, who's playing great, playing some great basketball. She lit us up the first time that, you know, they came down here. And you know, it was a 2-point game at halftime. And so I think that for us, you know, we're going to have to be better defensively. I thought defensively the first time we played them we were a little sloppy, and we allowed a little bit more than I felt like we should have. And so, you know, you go on the road in the SAC, it's always tough.
Right.
And we're going to have to find a way to close out the season the right way. And it's a growing opportunity for our program. I think, you know, obviously with the region rankings the way that they are, there's opportunities for us to hold the fort down and move into the conference tournament. And seeding is really important right now for us and other teams in the league. So, you know, to be one of those teams that's in the conversation, you got to go and take care of business on the road.
And then Wingate, capable of beating the #1 team in the league, also capable of losing to the last place team in the league. Not really sure, maybe the Box of Chocolates group this year, but they're young, and that's why you don't really know what you're going to get with them, because they are so young.
Yeah, they're young, and they're young, they're talented, and then, you know, obviously, I tell people all the time, I think we've got the best coaches in our league from top to bottom. And, you know, it starts with, you know, Ann Hancock and JB and Mike Mincy and those guys. And so, you know, for us, you know, Wingate plays really well at home. You know, they have an elite post player in Talia Jeter. They have a young freshman guard, point guard, who's going to be a star in this league. And then you have kids that you walk out, they walk out of the locker room and you're like, wow, they're different. And that's, you know, Brianna Troutman and the Clark girl that they have on their roster. So, you know, you know that those kids are capable of big nights, and we're going to have to do our due. Wingate's going to rebound the ball. They're going to be elite defensively, and you know you're going to have to make shots at Cuddy Arena because it's a hectic atmosphere. You know, it's their last home game. It's going to be a senior night for them, and you know they're going to be ready to go. And you know, I tell people all the time that you can lose to anybody in this league on any given night, and I expect Wingate to be locked and loaded, and it's going to be a dogfight.
Go be elite.
Yes, sir.
As Pioneer Coach Devan Carter, just love saying that because I like to hear him say it as well. Pioneers at LMU and then at Wingate. Of course, you can listen. We'll have the radio coverage for you. I'll do it, and it will be on the Pioneer Sports Network through the Pioneer webpage on their Pioneer basketball schedule. Just click the Listen Live link. Of course, LMU and Wingate do such a great job with their TV coverage as well. You can always watch that as well, as they will have the great pictures and the sounds from there. It's the final week of the regular season, and before the end of the regular season is over with, could be a big shakeup in the South Atlantic Conference. There's the potential of word that could come down that could have some teams jumping up, possibly in the conference standings and possibly in the region rankings as well. So stay tuned. To everyone behind the scenes who keep the studio spick and span, make this place no dust and make it all clean and all that stuff. Thanks to Zach Cardle and Nick Forsberg and all the guys. He's Pioneer Coach Devan Carter, and until next week, go Pioneers.